Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this new stream of Hearts of Iron 4 playing with La Resistance, which has now been released, so if you are interested in getting this for yourselves, you can do that. Also, I am now free to speak freely about the expansion, so ask me questions and stuff later on. The premise here is I have set up a bunch of custom game rules. We have got a fascist United States, which basically guarantees the Civil War. We've got restoring the Kaiser in Germany. We've got a fascist Japan, which is basically their pro-emperor path. France is who we are actually going to be playing as. Unfortunately, in La Resistance, it doesn't actually seem possible to enforce France going Napoleon. A bit of a oversight there, but we're going to be playing as France, so it doesn't matter. I have set everything else to random, so there's a lot of madness going to be going on. Also, historical AI focuses are turned off. Austria-Hungary is going to be restored. We've got the Balkan dominance, which I think is more or less the Romanian monarchist path. Yugoslavia. I know that Yugoslavia starts ruled by a monarch, but I don't know if one of these keeps him. Anybody who is more familiar with the Yugoslavian focus tree, and this is why we need Marshall here, does one of these keep Yugoslavia monarch in? Because I know communist gets rid of him. I think fascist might. So maybe democratic? Maintain a democratic government. I think I'm going to switch you to democratic, because I think that is actually how you save the monarchy in Yugoslavia. Czechoslovakia is random. There isn't actually a monarchy choice for them, as far as I'm aware. Nationalist China is staying random. Communist China is staying random. Manchukuo, however, is independent because the Emperor of China is currently a Manchukuo. Britain's going Empower the King. Netherlands is going Orania Bolven. Mexico is going Social Catholicism because I think that is the closest to the Mexican Empire that you can get for good old Maximilian. Spain is going Carlist, and then Portugal is going Monarchist. So both of these have got updated game rules. It's just France that doesn't, bizarrely. The only man in the Dutch government sure has a powerful end focus, does it? As good as the Carlist one? Because that Carlist end focus was bonkers. Anyway, that is the games that we are going to be setting up. I'm leaving everything else just default, not changing any of the regular rules, not empowering any particular nations, because I'm kind of curious to see exactly what happens with all the factions and things around the world. Because I think that Britain, for example, will leave the Allies. I'm not even sure that there will be an Allies. The Axis for sure are going to get disbanded, although Italy might keep it. So yeah, stuff is going to happen.
Allez.
And we're also, interestingly, not going to need to worry about an early German invasion. Because they ain't going to do it.
Aux ordres.
I'm still missing some troops somewhere in the world, aren't I? That's not the one I meant. That is... Syria. Alright, so these are the colonials. You know what, I'm still going to just stick them all in one big army. I'm going to say that you are responsible for France for the time being. And then we will assign you proper locations later on. And we're going to set you to Shift K, which does indeed only train the units that require training, and nobody else. Then we're going to select a national focus. So, what are we doing with the French? We are going to be going, reviving the national bloc, utilising the leagues, and then we're going down here, the Council of Rambouillet, revising the constitution, repealing the law of exile, and then we have a choice. We can go Orleanist Restoration, Legitimate Heir, or proclaim the Third Empire. The Third Empire is Napoleon. So yeah, we will have a choice at that point. I'm not entirely sure why they've added these two, because I'm pretty sure that 99% of people are going to be going this way. But hey, it's a choice. So yeah, that's a thing. Let's go revive the national bloc. The political landscape is growing more and more radical by the day. The left whispers of making common cause with the communists. What is needed now is strong, stable leadership. And we are going to do the usual opening setup. Construction, production, and research. And then we are going to do infrastructure. Now, does the monarchist path have any infrastructure bonuses? I doubt it. No, these are just war goals against everybody. Oh, compliance against the Dutch. Interesting. And Je suis la deluge. Population, division, training time, recruitable population factor. That's a lot of extra population. Impressive. So maybe we shouldn't go Napoleon just to be edgy. Orleanist 1 is proto-democratic. Looks pretty fun as a new way to play vanilla France. Oh, interesting. Okay. Orleanist. Guarantee the constitution. First citizen of state. Edouard de Ladier becomes the constitutional monarchy. Interesting. Counteraction. Minus fascism. No further humiliation. Creates the anti-fascist bloc. Topple government against the German Reich. Topple government against Italy. Building slots in the Order of France. And then even more stability. So it's a super stable France. So maybe no civil war. Alphonse becomes leader of the non-aligned. Annex war goal against Spain. Unite the crowns. France annexes Carlist Spain. Or the Legitimist alliance. Carlist Spain and France. So this is basically the Franco-Iberian alliance. Retribution for Sedan. What did Germany do? Wreck our favourite chair? Yeah, you can't destroy our Sedan chair. Crikey. It's just not on. Anyway, so no, there was no industrial stuff over there. Those are bonuses. Industry is here. So we have +2 infrastructure everywhere. I think that's the only bonus. Yes. So we can pretty much upgrade everywhere to level 8 and still be safe. Let's just start with the north for now. That'll give us something to do. And then equipment. Motorized, light tanks, artillery, support equipment, guns. Can we produce armoured cars? We can. I want armoured cars. For some unknown reason. And start getting some close air support. Actually, huzzah! No, because we start with a pretty significant gun deficit. So let's start making some regular guns. That's probably a better plan. Death Dealer, thank you very much for the subscription. Welcome to the Maudlings. Thank you very much for that support. King Alfonso Carlos of Carlos Spain and King Alphonse Charles of Legitimist France are the same person. Aha. So it's basically a personal union. Huzzah! Kunai, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime subscription. Welcome to the Maudlings, and thank you also for your support. Mike, what happened to my Spain game? Right, so legit question. I ran a bunch of tests, so I got up like 2 hours earlier than I usually do, so if I feel a little bit nappy a bit later, that would be why. And I ran a bunch of tests, basically, just to see if that game was savable. And now that I can actually talk freely about this DLC, there seems to be some pretty huge performance issues later on. So in 1942, it was taking about 6 seconds to process every day. And we're going to have about 2 years of waiting, doing nothing, to try and get our cores and things together. So there are a couple of compounding problems, basically. So, first of all, 3/4 of Spain is not cored, so we have to core the rest of Spain to A, get the manpower, and more importantly, get the factories. To core those provinces, we need 35% compliance. That's not actually that difficult. We were already at 33% with my last save. Well, the save before we went to Portugal. Second thing is we need 2,000 infantry equipment per state. As long as we're not at war and keep a lot of our factories producing infantry equipment, it'll take a while, but it's not insurmountable. We need 40 political power, which frankly is the least of the problems. We had about 300 in that save already. The biggest problem, however, and which is directly opposed to the 2,000 infantry equipment, is it also requires 10 army experience per state, which requires about 200 army experience to core the whole of Spain. Well, how do you gain army experience? Training, very slowly, would take about 3 years, or go into war. Well, you know what else wars do? They also require equipment. So there was basically nothing you could really do until about 1942. I think it was June 1942 when I finally declared war on Portugal, beat them, got a bunch of equipment and started coring everything. But by that point, like, the game was running so unbelievably slowly, it was just boring. Attaches. Couldn't get an attaché with anyone, I tried. Couldn't join any factions, because winning the Civil War gets you world tension, and because of the high world tension I couldn't join any factions, and because I had so many CBs against other people and also the world tension, nobody wanted attaches. So yeah, that Spain game was just dull. Savable, certainly, just not really worth doing. I spent about an hour and a half just sitting there just going, just come on, just keep going. It's really annoying because this whole resistance change was ostensibly to remove some of the late game performance issues, but they seem to have generated a new performance issue in like 1940. I was beginning to notice this during the Free France game when I was sitting on speed 5 waiting for things to happen, and it's just kind of slow. And then in 41, playing as Spain, it was even worse. Like there is a serious performance issue underlying somewhere. So playing as the bigger nations when you would generally be on speed 3, speed 4, it's not too bad. But for the small nations where you kind of have to wait time, it's a problem. And it's kind of annoying because I've never had serious performance issues with Hearts of Iron before. This is a new problem. Like Kaiserreich, endgame like 1947 Kaiserreich, is very slow. This in 1941 is about that same level. So yeah, I have a bit of an issue with that, and I really hope it's something they're aware of. I did do a search just to see if there's any reports of it yet. There aren't. I really hope it's not a problem that I'm having. So we shall see. Did the new patch rebalance the land doctrines to your liking? It nerfed superior firepower, which frankly it did need a bit. But it hasn't done anything to really change how bad Grand Battle Plan is, so eh. Yeah, that's the thing. 1940 to 42 is not late game. The fact that these performance issues are creeping in the early 1940s is a big freaking problem. If it was like 45, 46, who cares? The game's over by then. But yeah, early 1940s, I'm a little bit concerned by that one. And now that I can actually like mention this, it's like, oh, come on. What happened to the Spain run? Colinas, go check the VOD for the last 5 minutes. That's literally what I've just been talking about. Sorry. Terribly timed, but I've just finished talking about that. Is MA still bad? Mass Assault. Mass Assault is not bad. Mass Assault just requires you to have a lot of manpower. Mass Assault is actually possibly overpowered. Like, Superior Firepower was definitely, like, the best choice if you didn't have Mobile Warfare. Mobile Warfare is good. It doesn't really have any weaknesses, but it has a fair few strengths. Grand Battle Plan does one thing very, very well, but you need a country like France to really exploit that. Superior Firepower is just solid, and Mass Effect is good if you have the manpower and the industry to support it. So, there we go. Right, I think we are ready to unpause. No, navies. How could I forget the navies? Who are you, and what have you done with Mordred? Ooh, the other thing I meant to mention, actually, is I'm probably going to run a multiplayer game on Saturday. If anyone is interested in playing, then please do head over to the Discord and just keep an eye on that, because I will be announcing more about it later, like which nations to play and that type of thing. It will likely be a historical one, probably fairly rules light, just because I don't know what rules to implement. except for, like, factions are going to be strict. There's going to be wildcard nations, because there always are, but then there's going to be, like, Britain, France have to be in the Allies, Germany, Italy have to be in the Axis, etc. Yes, it will be multiplayer Hearts of Iron on Saturday. And it'll be the same times I'm normally streaming, so sorry if it's a bit late for the Europeans. What time of day? 5 PM till 2 AM GMT. Whether it's going to be the full 9 hours, 8 hours, I don't know. I'm still, like, in the planning stages of that. Alright, let's unpause, because I've sat here not doing anything for a bit now. Oh yeah, Air Forces. Let's go and abandon our Air Force. Whoa, multiplayer I don't have to wake up early for, but it's Hearts of Iron 4, you hate me. Sorry. And I'll probably also be doing another multiplayer on Friday. That's not one I'm hosting, so the really big Hearts of Iron community, which also have a Discord server, are running a multiplayer on Friday, which I've said I'll join. But like I said, I'm not hosting that one. Let me see if I can get a link to that, if you are interested in playing there too. Is this the right one? Hearts of Iron 4, yes it is. I'm in no way affiliated with these guys, they just invited me. I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of intrigued. So there you go. That's what I'm doing this weekend. That does unfortunately mean there's no RimWorld until next week. And I might also have some more news about other games coming soon. One of them a little bit surprising. But that's very much under NDA, so I can't say anything else. Ships. I've not done anything with ships. Let's minimize you so I can actually organize you. I'll do that manually. 36, March, May, June, July, August, 48. These are the big guys. Dunkirk was the other big one. Minerva class were the small ones. I have a feeling that these are actually going to be somewhere in here. Let's try that. Okay, infrastructure production is going nicely, and then we just need to do the focuses. Marvellous! Will the multiplayer game be La Resistance? Yes. So, because this is Paradox, if the host has La Resistance, then everyone playing has La Resistance. The game on Friday has it, and my one on Saturday obviously will too. I've not done anything ships, Mordred 2020. Little Entente focus for France looks really OP and meta Hearts of Iron 4 since they're allowed to ally with England as well. Yeah, but England has to accept it. And it also means a very early war for Czechoslovakia, which France probably doesn't want to do. In fact, I think if they join the Czechoslovakian war, then France will have a civil war. Will the multiplayers be streamed? Yes. I seem to remember that's a thing on the disjointed government. While reforms are needed and welcome, the nation is divided, and getting drawn into a conflict would put it at great risk. I do think that is actually a clause. If you get into a war, civil war. I really like this new training system. It's good. A very welcome change. Are there any other aeroplanes I need to get rid of? No. However, I can change the balance of those carrier ships, fighters, planes. This is a 40. These are the fighters, so I'm going to drop you down to 10 and 30. If that means I need to make a few, I will. German Reich declared war on the German Reich. And so it begins for the Germans. Let's utilize the leagues. Unlocks decision, rally the leagues. Fascism goes up, non-aligned goes up, stability goes down. Unleash la cagoule. Fascism goes up significantly, stability goes down. It is a sad fact that the political violence has become commonplace in France. If the country is to survive the threat of communist revolution, we must not shy away from the help of the people who can and will meet the communist thugs in the street, if it comes to that. Although, actually, before we do this, do we want to ban communism? I'm going to ban communism right now. While it is inconceivable that anyone could seriously want to visit the chaos and the bloodshed of a communist revolution upon their own fatherland, it appears that there are some amongst us who would do just that. We cannot allow them to conspire against the state any longer. The harshest of measures must be taken. Belgium is rightful French clay. I think we have a focus for that. Yep. Avenge Waterloo. Germany embroiled in civil war. A sudden Wehrmacht coup led by the famed Field Marshal August von Mackensen has triggered a civil war in Germany early this morning. Fascists, royalists and Democrats alike have taken up arms against their former countrymen, and military units have been removed from the borders to see to the internal threat. The fascists, under orders of Hitler, have already vowed to destroy the nation rather than see it fall to treasonous Germans. Let us hope that peace will soon return to Europe. Hey, Iron. Yeah, do we have any other decisions we need to worry about before we get drawn in too much? Nope, don't think so. Unfortunately, I can't lend lease or send volunteers, so there's not very much I can do to help this war, as much as I may want to. Research. Let's double down on the research. Hey, Sergey. Italy took Ethiopia. March. That's the earliest. March 36. Also played the Spanish Civil War twice now. Seems to me like the only good way to come out of it, healthy-ish, is by very much meta-ing it. How so? Because of all the civil wars and stuff, war tension will get high pretty quickly. Yes, I suspect that will be true, because there's going to be a few. In fact, Britain is going to be going King's Party as well. Now, does the King's Party dismantle the Empire? I don't think so. Yes, it will, actually. And they also get a CB against the USA. It's going to be interesting. This is going to be a very different world from normal. Right, the other thing I want to do is change these icons. Brigade Coloniale. Oh, and I also want to change you. You are going to be police. And you are going to get that icon. I'd like to get rid of your recon, but we can't afford to do that right now. Then we are going to go here. Occupied territories. And actually, this is another thing I should have checked earlier. Changing you to police. Civilian oversight is currently the default. I think I might even make it local autonomy, get the compliance growth. Sure, why not? Unfortunately, you can't actually see what the resistance target is unless there's actually resistance present. So, yeah. I really need to show resistance targets on here, like, really badly. Excellent, Helm. So I said up before a civil war in a way that both the anarchists and the phalangelists ended up pretty roughly placed. I also removed Mills from the Republic of Spain, so when I popped out of the Carlist, I blitzed it fast, September 1937, and pushing the Republican close to ending it. You've still got to core it all, though, and that's where the problem starts. The cores and the resistance. Ongoing war approaching our borders has loomed over the upcoming election, with many voters being concerned that France is not prepared for being thrown into this conflict or whatever may arise from it. They demand we increase our precautions and ensure that our nation is ready for war. While the majority still support the Parti Radical, we may lose them to more radical elements if we don't alleviate their apprehensions. The people have a right to feel safe. We get mobilization. Or many are still in favour of diplomatic solutions. Why would I not take this? Make them feel safe. There's no downside. It's a free economy change and it's a better economy. Concentrated industry. France again? Yep, France again. Attention. Right, the other thing I wanted to do was change your icon to that. And then yours. These two units are actually identical. So we're going to grab the Division Coloniale and just turn them into Division Infantry. Attention. And then I'm just going to go and delete you. These are the motorized divisions, so we will give you... And then I think the chars de combat we're probably just going to get rid of, frankly. Well, not rid of. We'll turn them into the motorized units. Because they're just not that strong.
Écoutez.
In fact, we'll have a look at the mechanized units we have access to. So we have quite a few. What we could do is disband some of the motorized. Or hell, we could even turn these motorized into the mechanized. So these are actually quite good units. They have the artillery support.
Gardez vos rangs.
Yeah, we'll leave them for now. Eventually we want to turn the cavalry into that as well. One of the reasons I split out the police divisions. What do I think of the DLC then? Is it worth picking up? Okay, so my opinion of this DLC is it has potential. This is one of those DLCs more like Together... No, not Together for Victory. What was the one after that? Waking the Tiger, which is a platform for further expansion. So I think the espionage system in this is good, but it's not quite there yet. The ability to improve upon this system, though, is phenomenal. I can't wait to see what mods do with it, for a start. And I can't actually wait to see what they do with this in just future patches. Because I have a feeling that they can really do a lot with this espionage system. It's just a little bit limited. Like, the actual options of what you can do, the most powerful thing right now, I would have to say, is just set up networks. Just get that intel. Get the ledger. The new intel on the ledger is phenomenal, but I think that's part of the free patch. But I really, really like the way that intel works. And the new units, like the scout planes, I haven't really used them yet, but I can see the potential. Likewise with the recon units for your or for your regular units. It's a good change. So yeah, this is a expand. It's not like revolutionary in the way that Man the Guns was. Man the Guns made Hearts of Iron 4 from an okay game into a very good game. This is making a very good game into a slightly better with more potential game, if that makes sense.